Last night I finally had enough and ended it with her. We tried to fix things between us, but it was hopeless. She refused to change her shady and unfaithful behavior. All I want now is to move forward. I want to talk through what happened and why we broke up and then get on with my life. A little background. Her name is Claire, and I was smitten with her the moment I met her. We had so much in common, and she seemed to feel the same way. Claire had 3 children, one of which was co-parented with her baby daddy, but that didn't deter me in the slightest. She introduced me to all her kids after our second date, and it was no big deal. They were all still really young. Claire and I moved really quickly, and shortly after she had introduced me to her kids for the first time, we were an official couple. I was so happy at the time, and I told my family everything about Claire and how I thought she might be the one I want to spend the rest of my life with. They told me I should probably slow down and take it easy. I should have listened to them because shortly after that, everything started to fall apart. In the first month of our relationship, Claire and I went together to my parents' home 10 hours away for Thanksgiving and a hunting trip with my family. In a nutshell, there was a huge fight between me and my family because they believed she was taking advantage of me. They probably had good reason to feel that way. I had drained all my bank account funds in the small amount of time I'd been with Claire, and most of my savings had disappeared. I had been showering my girlfriend with gifts, buying her dinner daily, getting her an Xbox, makeup, clothes, gym supplements, games, drinks from the bar, toys for the kids. The list went on and on. The reason I did all these things was that I was so in love with her that I wanted to make her happy. While we were at my parents' place, Claire told me she was pregnant. I knew it was mine because we had unprotected sex a few times. Her revelation increased the pressure on me to make a decision between my family or Claire. Ultimately, I chose her, and we left early and returned home, much to my family's dismay. Claire then convinced me to sever all ties with my relatives. After I cut everyone off, she was the only one I had left in the world to turn to, but her attitude towards me changed. She was quite nasty to me during her pregnancy. She would always attribute it to her changing hormones, so I just dealt with it. Sadly, she lost the baby after 3 months and had postpartum depression afterwards. I tried my hardest to help her as best I could, but it eventually became too much for me. I started wondering if she was being unfaithful, since she seemed to talk to a lot of other guys. Since the time we were together, I'd estimate that she had around 40-50 guys in her life, maybe more, just from what I could tell. She told me they were all just friends, but I didn't believe her. They would contact her through Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, or text her directly. I have made a list of what I can remember that I should have seen as red flags. The following are the things I observed about Claire that suggest she had been unfaithful, though she has only confessed to just talking with other guys. 1. This is a broad one. She was constantly sending Snapchats to numerous guys, and sometimes even pics of her cleavage with the camera angled up. She was always on her phone doing who knows what, trying to be secretive about it by holding it away from me. 2. One time we were going to the gym together, and I noticed she was sending messages to someone. The chat bubbles were yellow, so it had to be from Bumble, which is the same app we met on. I didn't ask her about it at the time, though. 3. A couple of days later, she showed me a snapshot of a guy's Tinder profile that her friend was talking to and asked for my opinion. The following day, I noticed her messaging that very same guy, but I didn't say anything to her about it. 4. We drove to a bar in the neighboring town for a show by a local country musician. We had only been there a few minutes before she sent me a text saying she felt smothered and that she wanted space to be on her own. We weren't there with any other people, but I saw her talking to various guys like she already knew them. Later on, I returned and found Claire talking to one of the guys. To her credit, when I approached, she made an effort to introduce me and include me in the conversation. The guy eventually went away, and Claire and I went home. She talked about him and how interesting his stories were all the way home. 5. The following weekend, Claire wanted to go to the same bar for drinks. As soon as we arrived, Claire slapped $20 into my hand and pushed me to head over to the whiskey bar down the street while she stayed put. I refused twice, but she insisted, saying that it was her way of doing something nice. I finally caved and bar hopped for an hour. I texted her and said that I was bored and coming back to the original bar. She said, "We are going to this other one." I said I would meet her there then. I saw her and that same dude from the week before walking together. Then for some reason they turned back and went back to the original bar. They never saw me and she waited 15 min before bothering to tell me she had turned back. I caught up with her and found her drinking and laughing with the guy and I guess some of his friends. When Claire saw me, she said something to the men and they all laughed. She came over to me and asked me to take her home because she was tired. 6. I sneakily looked through her phone while she was in the shower, discovering 4 new Snapchat exchanges from different guys. One in particular stood out to me. 3 bikini selfies followed by a text claiming that their sex had been passionate. I confronted her about it, and she said that these messages were sent to her ex-boyfriend who had called her fat. She claimed the pics were meant to prove him wrong and that he was referring to sex from when they were still together. I ended the relationship with Claire right then and there. She tried to take her own life with pills and was hospitalized, and 3 days later I returned to her and we reconciled. 7. A buddy of mine that she had met previously said that he saw where she swiped right on him on Bumble. I confronted her again. She denied it and said that it's because she only deleted her app and not her actual account. Somehow we stayed together. 8. She left her phone in my truck when she was in her house. When I searched through it, I found multiple dating apps on there. She was actively using Tinder and chatting with different guys. She said that the apps were a way to test me, to see if I'd look at her phone, and insisted that she was merely talking to them to make it appear legitimate. We broke up again. She tried to take her life again and we got back together. Again. 9. We went to a hockey game and while there I saw her texting a dude. I saw her send a message that said, "How's work going, babe?" Him, "It's kinda slow. How's the hockey game?" Her, "It would be more fun with you." I confronted her again, broke up, she took pills, and we still stayed together. 10. The last straw. Her mom was scheduled for major surgery that was risky. She called me the night before and said, "Hey, I'm gonna go be with mom because she's really worried. I don't get good cell signal, so if my Snapchat location messes up, that's why. I just want to build trust for you." 2 hours later, I looked up her location. It showed she was at a bar in another town. When I confronted her, she initially lied and said she had been with her mom at home. But then suddenly she called back and claimed to be at a gas station parking lot on the way home. She refused to send me a photo of where she was, so I told her to go to hell and broke up with her. For good this time. It's been a long year and now I'm finally single. I've reconnected with my parents who said I was an idiot, but they took me back with open arms. I stupidly let myself be used by a woman I barely knew and did a lot of damage to myself and my relationship with family and friends. If anything can be taken away from this experience, it is to know and respect your own value. I did my best, but there's no fixing the situation. There are many other examples of when Claire did me wrong, but I don't think I can express them in words right now. If you've stuck around until the end, thank you for listening, and I hope you've learned what not to do if you're ever in the same situation as I was.